unlike last weekend when we had those multiple warnings Saturday night a week ago. So broad rotation in Pickens County in West Alabama. If you're watching us in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, it's going to be windy and wet. And I want to stress, away from the storms, we have strong gradient winds. In fact, there is a wind advisory in effect for the northerns that might gust up to 30, 35 miles an hour. A lot of you are hearing that as we speak here. So again, watching it here, the thing looks awfully broad here. And again, hopefully within a matter of minutes, the Weather Service will be able to cancel this. This particular spot right here is what we're watching. And again, if you're in Pickensville, all clear. You're good. Now, I would stay sheltered in Carrollton, Reform, and Gordo. If you're in those cities, I would stay sheltered. Ethelsville, you are not in this polygon. All right. Again, US 82, that extension out to the west of Reform toward the state line. This is passing south of you. And again, let's go back to that Reform Skycam. It's pouring rain at Reform, our Skycam location there. And again, this is at Reform Elementary School. And of course, we'll be watching with interest over the next 5-10 minutes from that particular site right there in Pickens County, part of our Skycam network. But again, the other thing we're watching for is signs of any debris that might be lofted here. And we're really not seeing that at this point. We've been looking at the correlation coefficient product. Let's go back to the graphics if we can. Again, this is the debris tracker. This is a swath of lowered correlation coefficient, and we just don't see anything in there at this point, which is good. When debris is being lofted, we see a little negative area that can show up, and again, from time to time, we'll see the tornado debris signature with this. Now, if we do, that flashing red turns to a flashing purple, meaning a confirmed tornado. But again, at this point, this is our primary concern in a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado in Pickens County. Again, this rotation is moving to the east-northeast, and that'll be coming across the US 82 corridor here in about 10 minutes or so. So again, we encourage everybody to stay sheltered in that stretch from Reform back over to Gordo. Carrollton, I would still stay sheltered down here. Most likely this is going to pass north of you. And if anything is here, it's going to be very short-lived, a very brief tornado. And I will tell you, it is very hard to warn for these things. It's almost like playing whack-a-mole. If they're down for a minute or two, by the time a warning goes out, they're gone. But again, the Weather Service believes that there's enough evidence to warrant that tornado warning here. So the warning is in effect until 9:45. It's currently 8:57. And again, we'll just watch the progression of this over the next few volume scans. But again, the good news, we have not seen a tornado debris signature at this point, which is certainly a good thing. The radar we're looking at, this is coming from Columbus Air Force Base. We'll check the Birmingham view very quickly. And again, you can see evidence of what could be a small tornado in the same spot. That's a different angle. But again, in this particular case, the Columbus Air Force Base radar gives us that better view of that area of rotation. But again, it's becoming more ill-defined, and Gerald down at the Weather Service, he's going to watch it for a couple of volume scans. He's going to keep the warning intact for a few more minutes, and if the storm continues to become disorganized, and we think it will, he will go ahead and cancel that warning. That's a good thing about Birmingham. They're very cognizant of not issuing false alarms, and nobody wants false alarms. Sometimes they're necessary. You're going to have some inevitably, but they've really done a good job of reducing the number of false alarms out of the Weather Service in Birmingham. And the minute this thing just goes away, that warning will be canceled. And we know it's very inconvenient because whenever we pull the trigger on a warning and you go into a polygon, things happen. People in mobile homes have to go to a shelter. You have to stop what you're doing, go to a small room in your house, put on a helmet, the regular precautions, and we encourage people to continue to do that. But again, you can clearly see it's becoming very elongated here. It's not your classic tornado signature. So again, the Weather Service will keep watching this for a few volume scans to see if that continues. And if it does, this will be canceled. And I think it will be canceled here in just a matter of minutes. We're coming up on 9 o'clock. Technically, the warning goes until 9:45. I clearly do not think it will last that long as this moves into a very stable air mass. And this is interesting to note. Look at the number of lightning strikes, 0. This is basically a rotating rain shower here. No thunder, no lightning, cool, stable air. The storm is typically elevated, and traditionally elevated storms that are somewhat higher base just can't produce a tornado. So now I will say in Mississippi, the atmosphere was different. In Mississippi, they did have much higher dew points. They had surface-based instability, and there were a number of warnings there tonight. But as these storms shift over into Alabama, it's a different air mass, radically different. And that's the reason there's no tornado watch, and we're not going to see a tornado watch tonight. And again, I would imagine this warning will probably be taken out here in a couple of moments here. And I tell you, Theo, in just a second, I might want you to take WEX 05, just to give you a little heads up on that, in that I want to look specifically at the tornado debris product correlation coefficient we use to detect tornado debris. In fact, let's take WEX 05 if we can real quick. And again, you see this little spot right here, which is north of Carrollton. That could be a tornado debris signature right here. And if that's the case, that would represent the fact that a small tornado did get down a little earlier. And what happens, debris is being lofted up. These are mainly tree limbs, branches, and leaves. And the radar, the way the radar works, it's electromagnetic pulses coming back to the radar, mostly off raindrops. But if it's something that's not a raindrop, not a hydrometeor, this product shows a lowered level. And again, this is what could be a small TDS or a tornado debris signature in that particular spot right there. So again, that is a sign that we might have had a small tornado down north of Carrollton. That TDS is north of Carrollton. Let's go back to the main graphics box to Lynx 1. And again, you can see that the debris is very elongated, or the velocity display is very elongated right now. And I think if we had one down earlier, it is basically lifted at this point. So again, we've technically got a tornado warning in effect still for parts of Pickens County. And again, we're kind of watching this whole area right in through here. There's really not a tornado signature at this point. It looks like we might have had a small one earlier that got down for a couple of minutes. It lofted some debris. We saw that TDS. Even the TDS is starting to fade a little bit right now. But again, still, as long as you're in that red flashing polygon, that red flashing box on the screen, the idea is to stay sheltered. That would be a small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. Pop on a helmet, bicycle helmet, perfect. If you got a batting helmet, football helmet, motorcycle helmet, that's great. We don't want anybody in a mobile home. And by the way, notice the warning just went to purple because of that tornado debris signature, which means that the tornado was confirmed. That's the reason for the color change. But again, we don't want folks in mobile homes or vehicles. That's the two worst possible places to be during a tornado warning. So again, we've got a tornado warning for Pickens County. And again, you can see looking at the current velocity product, I would say the odds of one being there are relatively low. But let's go back to WEX 05 real quick if we can. And again, you can see right there that little spot, which is about 3 miles north of downtown Carrollton. That's a TDS, or a tornado debris signature here. And this thing went along a track about like that, passing just north of Alabama Highway 86. 86 is the road that runs from Carrollton back over to Pickensville. And of course, if you track that on out, keep on going, if anything is there, I don't think it is now, that would be crossing Highway 82 sometime soon. Let's go to our Skycam at Reform Elementary. The rain has increased there. Again, this is a live look at a camera site that is in that polygon. This is Reform Elementary School, and it's just absolutely pouring, but the lights are on, there's power, no evidence of any excessively strong wind. Everybody's going to see winds of 25, 30 miles an hour tonight. Those are gradient winds. But again, at this point, we're seeing no evidence of any tornado activity there. And most likely, the small tornado is going to be passing down to the south of Reform at this point. We should mention, too, while we're looking at the Skycam, Gerald down at the Weather Service, they did a volume scan. The debris signature reached a little over 4,000 feet, 4,300 feet on a recent scan. So, again, there's pretty good evidence somewhere out there in the woods of Pickens County. We had a small tornado tonight, lofting debris. But the good news, I can tell you, velocities have come way, way down. Let's go back to the radar. And we're here at 9:03. And there's just, at this point, not really strong evidence of a tornado there, just a broad wind shift line right in through here. And again, we saw pretty decent evidence of one for a few minutes, and again, that's what lofted the debris. But now we're just seeing very broad rotation in through parts of Pickens County. I can't specify any location there, but still, you know the deal. Respect the polygon if you were in that polygon. So again, we're asking folks in Carrollton, Reform, and Gordo, and all the others in the polygon to stay sheltered. I know it's inconvenient. It's a Sunday night at 9:04. A lot of kids are going back to school tomorrow. A lot of folks are going back to work tomorrow after a Christmas, New Year's break. But I promise this won't last long. And again, I do believe with all my heart this is the last tornado warning of the evening. And quite frankly, I didn't expect to have one tonight. No lightning, no thunder, zero. You rarely see that. You rarely see a tornado warning in Alabama with no lightning. But in this case, it looks like a small one did get down just northeast of Pickensville in a very unpopulated part of Pickens County, north of Highway 86, paralleled Highway 86, probably down for a very short distance for a short amount of time. But most likely that tornado is lifted now. And again, I know that if you're watching us in Tuscaloosa, got to be a little concerned about this because you can see that Tuscaloosa is not that far away. Tuscaloosa here. This is what prompted the tornado warning right here. It's about 40 miles west of downtown Tuscaloosa. And again, that broad rotation is moving on to the northeast. If by chance anything were to survive here, that will be coming across northern Tuscaloosa County, not affecting the city of Tuscaloosa. So again, the Weather Service still holding on to the warning for a few more minutes. And again, let's go back to our Skycam at Reform Elementary. Pouring rain there. The rain has really increased. And it almost looks as though we lost connection with the camera. Okay, it just came back. Probably a little power glitch there, but again, the power is on now. And again, Reform in the polygon. That broad rotation is passing about 2 miles south of this school, the elementary school right now, about 2 miles to the south of downtown Reform, about to come out across US 82. But again, the velocities just come way down. And again, at the moment, we're just not seeing any strong evidence of a tornado. But again, we're going to hold it here until the warning is canceled by the Weather Service. And again, this should be the last one we do. One and done tonight, just one here at 9:06. And while we got let's go back to the radar. I wanted to kind of give a big picture here. So let's put the reflectivity back on and show the larger view. And you can see that it's just pouring rain now. If you're in Cullman County, Winston, Walker, Blount, Fayette, Marion, Lamar, northern Tuscaloosa, Pickens, it's just raining. And there's not a single lightning strike, not one, in this whole massive rain. And the winds are because of gradient, the pressure gradient, the difference between low and high pressure. And again, that big rain mass will continue across the state tonight. And really, that's it. Everything else is all calm, except for that one spot in Pickens County. So again, we're going to go in on that a little closer. And you can see the specific polygon being defined. And let's look at the velocity, which really tells the story. You know, it's amazing. I'm old enough to have worked radar before we had velocity. The Doppler processing came along back in the early to mid-90s. And before that, we didn't have this product. And we were just looking at reflectivity, and that made it really tough. And boy, being able to see this is like just going from almost being blind to be able to see again. So again, no strong evidence of a tornado at this point, and if the trend continues, the Weather Service will be canceling that warning soon. There's one lightning strike, by the way, one that just popped up. Of course, a lot of questions about tomorrow. Let's talk about that for a couple of minutes. Now, tomorrow we're going to have snow flurries, but temperatures should be in the mid-30s, a strong north wind, temperatures above freezing. Now, the wind chill index will be in the 20s all day. It's going to be so cold and raw, but there'll be flurries around and maybe a few snow showers, but we don't expect any impact from that. If we see any impact from winter weather this week, it will be Friday. And we'll discuss that much more in the 10 o'clock news. The new model data is coming in tonight, but there's confidence increasing that a broad surface low forms on the coast of Louisiana Thursday night, spreading a big precipitation shield up in here during the pre-dawn hours Friday. And most likely for most of you, it's going to start as a wintry mix of some freezing rain, liquid rain that falls when temperatures are below freezing, a bit of sleet and snow. And that could create some issues Friday morning for travel. That could create some pretty significant impacts. So just be aware of that. It's still really early to tell you about who gets what and a lot of things here, but the confidence is increasing. This could be a disruptive situation Friday morning and maybe through the day Friday. But more about that later. So here's the latest coming from Gerald down at the Weather Service. And like we've been telling you, it looks like the tornado has dissipated. And obviously there's no need for a warning into Tuscaloosa County, and they're going to be canceling the warning here pretty soon. But as long as the warning is up, we'll stay with you here. We're at 9:09. And again, I would imagine the warning will be going away in just a matter of minutes. And when that flashing purple box goes away, the warning is it, and that should be it for tonight. There's absolutely no reason to extend the warning over into Tuscaloosa County. We'll show the last couple of hours the progression here, and you'll see how the event has been going. And on the positive side, we're probably going to see maybe up to an inch of rain tonight in many spots. Keep in mind about 35% of the state still in drought conditions, so getting a good soaking, not necessarily a bad thing. And again, that rain will be ending early tomorrow morning, and as that rain moves out, the cold air rolls in. And again, we're going to have those snow flurries around tomorrow. And we all know, I'd like to say it's not a big deal, but anytime there's one flake of snow in this state, it somehow becomes a big deal. So it'll be interesting to watch. But up north, they have had a whopper of a snowstorm today. Our friends in Kansas City, St. Louis, Louisville, Kentucky, Cincinnati. And that big snow mass is moving over toward D.C. and Baltimore tonight. And up there, they've had in some spots over 10 inches of snow. So we did not have to deal with that. So there's our spot there in Pickens County that's prompted the warning. Let's go back to the velocity display. And the velocities are way down, and there's no evidence of any tornado here. But for a while, we had that TDS, a tornado debris signature, and that represented the fact that it looks like a small tornado did get down for a few minutes in a rural part of Pickens County, northeast of Pickensville. And again, most likely the tornado, based on the TDS, it moved in this area right in through here. And hopefully we had no structural damage. I've heard of no damage looking at the social media channels here tonight so far, which is a good thing. So we're holding it here for a few more minutes. It's 9:11. If you're just joining us, we apologize for interrupting programming tonight. But listen, this station's been here since 1996. And the promise all along, if there's a tornado warning for any county in our TV market, we go on the air, we stay on the air. And that's what we do here. So, but the minute this goes away, we'll go back to our regular programming. We'll come back with the news tonight at 10. We'll talk more about the Friday winter storm threat for the northern half of the state. And that's going to be all the buzz for the next several days as well. But again, we're so thankful this thing is moving into a stable air mass. If we had instability tonight, this could be a pretty good tornado outbreak for the state, but we don't. And again, look at here. You got no lightning strikes, zero. This is now an elevated, just big, messy, massive rain, some elevated convection. And again, it's just going to be kind of a wet and windy night tonight. And again, we should see that warning go off here in just a second. But still listen, as long as that thing is there, stay sheltered. And they do it right at the Weather Service in Birmingham. What they do, they just watch to see if by chance this thing is cyclic, if it tries to recycle. But I think in a situation like this, it's just going to be hard for that to happen. Again, we're also looking up here into Fayette County. We're watching this little segment here, which is over east of Fayette, a little west of Barry along Highway 43 at Bankston. All right, but they just canceled the warning. And again, there's no evidence of a tornado up there. I should mention, we're just kind of watching wind velocities here, but the Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning. It is over. All right, so that's good. So we now have no tornado warnings in effect. So at 9:12, we're going to go back to regular programming. We'll see you at 10 o'clock, and we'll talk all about Friday. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.